about to give you 10 micro habits that will have a big impact on your life in activating your feminine energy. And I promise that they are easy to do, even if you feel like you don't have any extra time at all. Hello and welcome. I'm Amanda, and I'm a busy full-time working mom, and I teach women how to thrive in their energy despite the masculine demands of life, because I get it. How many of us want to live this beautiful, ethereal, feminine energy life, but we have very real masculine demands in our life? If that sounds like you, I'm your girl. So the tiny micro habits that I'm about to share increase your feminine energy because they're specifically attainable for you. So if you're a woman who feels like she wants to so badly be in her feminine energy more, but maybe has a hard time doing so because of the reality of your life is that you have a lot of unavoidable masculine demands of you that don't allow for a whole lot of extra time to pour into those wonderful but kind of time-consuming feminine energy yielding activities. Maybe you're a mom or you work long hours, maybe both. And if that's not you, then you'll still find these tips really impactful. Just as impactful, it'll just mean that you'll have the luxury to have a lot more time to pour into yourself, which is a really beautiful thing, and I'm so happy that you get to do that. Now let's get right into the micro habits, and be sure to stay to the end because I think you might be surprised by some of them. I really thought through them a lot, especially number 9 and number 10 almost made me cry as I was working on that outline for this video. Plus I'm gonna share 3 really quick rapid fire bonus. But number 1 is sleep. Let's just get that one out of the way because I'm sure you knew it was coming. Get enough sleep no matter what. Honestly, nothing else matters if you're not rested. Nothing that you have to do during the day, during your awake hours, will be done well or feel good if you're not sufficiently rested. Your nervous system is shot and your cortisol is high when you're not getting enough sleep. And those are definite feminine energy suckers. You simply cannot be in your feminine energy if you're exhausted and if you have elevated cortisol. It doesn't work. I'm not going to spend too much time on this point because you already know, I know that you know how important sleep is for you. But I will just say that if you've been chronically undersleeping, it's hurting you in more ways than you probably even think. And you might think that you don't have enough time to get more sleep, and I promise you, I get it. I've been there. I haven't really talked too much about my personal journey to healing my wounded feminine, and that's a story for another day. But I only got there after living in a state of desperation for far too long, and part of that being only getting an average of 5 to 6.5 hours of sleep a night for 3 years straight for many different reasons. And I understand that these things are easier said than done, and I'm only sharing these tips with you because I know from personal experience that they will have a huge impact, even if, especially so, if your reality is one where you're barely holding on. And I'm sorry for that tangent, but I felt like it needed to be said. Back to sleep. Even if you don't feel like you have the time to get more than 6 hours a night, figure it out. And unless you have a brand new newborn baby, there is no excuse. Your physical and mental health literally depend on it. And you'll probably also be pleasantly surprised by how much more efficient and focused you can be during your waking hours when you're actually sufficiently rested. So it's really no time was lost anyway. Number 2 is to get cute. Get yourself ready in a way that makes you feel beautiful almost every day. I was sick last week, you might be able to still hear it, and I looked like a stray dog for most of the week. So there will always be acceptable exceptions, but the old adage that when you look better, you feel better, it really does ring true. And I also believe that when you feel better, you look better, but that's a completely different point. But when you take even 10 extra minutes to get ready in the morning, I swear it absolutely changes your brain chemistry or something. So I try to do this almost every day, and it sometimes all that means is that I do my bare bones 5-minute makeup routine, brush my kind of half dirty hair into a sleek ponytail, and put on my cutest athleisure outfit and spray some perfume. But most days I do try to get fully ready because I genuinely love it and it feels authentic to me, and it's just a routine habit at this point. But it doesn't matter what I do. That's not the point. It doesn't matter what anyone else does. I'm not saying everyone needs to get glam every day, because remember, feminine energy is not about presenting yourself in a conventionally feminine looking way. It's about authenticity and doing whatever feels good to you. So the point really is to just spend a few or many extra minutes in the morning dedicated to getting yourself ready so you feel beautiful and confident all day long in the way that feels authentic to you. And it will affect not only how you feel about yourself, but how others feel about you, and not just because they are reacting to how you look, but more so because they are reacting to the energy that you are giving off about how you feel about yourself. It's pretty powerful stuff. Number 3 is to plan. While feminine energy is all about flow, you can't be in flow if you don't have all your ducks in a row, which I actually love how that rhymed, and I will probably overuse that phrase constantly going forward. But it's important that you dedicate time each week and day to planning so that you can move through your days with more ease and intention. And it might sound counterintuitive, but hear me out. As I just so cheesily said, you can't be in flow if you don't have all of your ducks in a row. So while you might think that being in flow or embracing your feminine energy is to not make rigid plans, it doesn't always work that way, because we are real people with real obligations and responsibilities, and our feminine energy will always be blocked if we don't have good systems in place. Because the feminine energy can only exist if we feel safe. It can only thrive if we feel safe. And part of that safety is knowing that the things that we are responsible for are handled. Safety isn't only like whether or not you have a roof over your head. It can be as simple as knowing that everything that you need to accomplish in a week or all of your obligations within a week are taken care of. I do move through the week with a sense of ease because I know I don't have to remember anything. I know that it's just all gonna happen and it's all planned because I've done a little bit of upfront work so that I can have more ease throughout the week. I don't have time to go into all of my systems in this video, but if you're interested in hearing about all the systems that I have in place that allow me to kind of automate my energy sucking responsibilities so that I do have time for fun and relaxation, let me know in a comment and I can do that. It's also important to note that it does not support your feminine energy to use your brain to remember things, to remember what you need to do this week, or when your kids have wacky hair day, or when you have that big presentation at work. Feminine energy is all about being, and you can't just be if your brain is too busy trying to remember all of your obligations. So get them down on paper or digitally, whatever, so that you can free up that beautiful brain space of yours. Okay, I'll try to move a little bit more quickly through the rest of these micro habits. The next is to have a consistent evening routine, and I'm sure you've heard this before, but it's so important to make an evening routine and stick to it. Make it simple and something that you look forward to every night. Because a consistent evening routine that you enjoy, it really becomes an anchor in your day, and it allows you to wind down and ensure that you're carving out at least some time for yourself at the end of each day to take care of yourself. And I know that sometimes at the end of the day, you are just so exhausted that all you can do is brush your teeth and wash your face, and maybe that's every day for you in the season that you're currently in. But I challenge you to build out an evening routine for yourself that is as simple or as elaborate as feels good to you, and stick to it consistently. It doesn't have to be time consuming to be impactful. I look forward to my evening routine so much every night, and there's not even that much to it, but it really is an anchor in my day that signifies to me that I'm done pouring into everyone else for the day and it's time to just focus on myself and winding down. It's time for me to daydream in the shower with my lavender scented products, or reflect on my day while massaging in my skincare, to put my thoughts towards gratitude as I'm drinking my sleepy time tea, or to feel nostalgic as I read Harry Potter for the 6th time, or feel sensual as I read a great romance novel. An evening routine isn't just for doing things that are good for you, but it's for closing out your day with things that feel good to you. And yes, often these things, they do go hand in hand, but first and foremost, it's about feeling. It just so happens that a lot of what feels good to us are also things that are good for us. Number 5 is a fun one. It's to romanticize your life and romanticize anything and everything that you can, and treat yourself often. Almost every time I run an errand, I'm getting a little coffee or matcha to come along with me. And in my opinion, the more mundane and boring of a task, the more impactful romanticizing it in any way that you can will be. And I'm just gonna list off a few ideas now because I think it's pretty simple concept to grasp and you don't really need me to mansplain it to you. Just know that if you're not already putting in the effort to romanticize your life in any way that you can, you are sadly missing out on teeny tiny little micro ways to tap into your feminine energy every day, because the feminine energy love these little glimmers throughout the day and they really nurture that energy. So you can play music and dance while you cook dinner. You can learn how to make your morning coffee more lax and slowly enjoy every sip of it on your way to work on your morning commute rather than slurping as fast as you can as it burns your throat to rush to get ready in the morning. You can make a playlist or find a podcast that really lifts you up to listen to it as you get ready. You can light a candle or turn on a diffuser with essential oils while you're working. Go for a walk outside on a beautiful day. Buy flowers from the grocery store, light candles for dinner, take the family to a seasonal orchard rather than the obnoxious playground with all the screaming kids for the third time this week. There's so many things you could do. Buy and wear cute pajamas and put on scented lotion before bed. That's one of my favorites. Upgrade your bedding and linens and towels. Swap mindless scrolling for reading a romance novel with jazz music playing in the background and a nice candle lit. The ideas are really endless. Just think of tiny little micro ways to add those glimmers of romance to your everyday life and see it work wonders on you. Which is a nice transition to number 6, which is to stop scrolling mindlessly. I just mentioned this, but I'm bringing attention to it as its own micro habit because this one is a big one. It really is. Stop mindlessly scrolling and trade that time for something that you really truly enjoy, because mindless scrolling is a huge energy suck and it's an activity that definitely takes you out of your feminine energy, and instead trade it for time on something that actually makes you happy and actually feeds your soul and your feminine energy. Because mindless scrolling is just that, it's mindless. So instead trade it for something mindful, which by the way, the idea isn't to trade it for something draining and productive and whatever. It's not like that. And the thing is that you might not even realize it, but mindlessly scrolling is actually very draining. Whereas things that actually feed your feminine energy would be something like scrolling on Pinterest for inspiring recipe ideas or beautiful motivational quote graphics, reading a romance novel, playing Sudoku, or I love these coloring apps on my iPad. They're so relaxing, and then at the end of it you get this beautiful picture. Actually use your phone for what it was made for in 2006 and call up a girlfriend to catch up, or use it to learn a new skill like gardening or plan your next vacation. The possibilities, again, are endless. Just think really critically about what actually brings you joy, because I can assure you it's not mindlessly scrolling. The next is to ask for help whenever you can. And if your feminine energy is wounded, this can feel really hard to do, and you might feel like you should do as much as you can, but it is not serving you. The feminine energy is all about receiving, and the masculine energy is about giving and doing. And you'd probably be surprised by how much people want to help you, especially your partner. And I realized that I was hurting the polarity of my marriage for trying to do as much as I possibly could, because my husband and I both have very full, very busy lives, so I thought that I was doing the right thing by trying to take care of as much of the household responsibilities as possible, and I thought that he was just being a martyr when he told me to stop. But really, I was being the martyr, and it wasn't helping anyone. Because when my feminine energy was wounded, that's what I thought it meant. Frankly, I thought that me doing more of the domestic tasks would make me feel more feminine and make him feel more masculine. But let me tell you, there's nothing nourishing to the feminine energy about cleaning the bathrooms. That's not it. Because as I came to learn more about feminine and masculine energy, I realized that what I was doing was actually being in my masculine energy by doing and doing and doing and burning myself out. And my husband didn't even want that, and he was explicitly telling me this, but I just didn't listen. I don't know. I guess just because I didn't understand. The masculine energy wants to help relieve burden from his feminine woman, and that's what my husband was trying to do. I just didn't let him. Now I not only gladly let him do anything and everything that he offers, but I also ask. And I've always known that he was, an amazing man who would do anything for me. But what I didn't quite get until I came to really understand feminine and masculine energy was that he gets a boost of masculine energy from helping me. And especially if it's helping me in a way that allows me to be more in my feminine energy, because to him that feels really, really good. Not only is he willing to take my burdens away, but it actually boosts his masculine energy. And it's really a win-win for everyone. And I do have to add that it's key that you show your genuine appreciation. I think that goes without saying, but it's important to note that it only fuels his masculine energy if he genuinely feels appreciated. Next is to try softer exercise. If routine exercise is already part of your life, consider switching to forms that do more to embrace your feminine energy, like yoga or dancing or Pilates, bar, walking. If working out feels like a really difficult chore that you have to force yourself to do, then that's using masculine energy. Whereas if you're doing something that you truly enjoy, that in and of itself means that you're operating in your feminine energy. And furthermore, those activities in particular, like yoga, dancing, Pilates, bar, walking, those really activate your feminine energy, because feminine energy, as we know, is all about flow. And that's exactly what all of those activities are naturally. Number 9, this is a heavy hitter, and it is to get to know yourself and your energy levels really, really well. And this will allow you to work when your body and your brain are most equipped to do hard things, and allow you to lean into your feminine state of flow and peace when your energy is lower. Understanding how you and your energy levels, both physical and mental, work can be a superpower, and it can make your life a whole lot easier for you. It'll allow you to actually do more and make it feel easier, which, sign me up. And a good but maybe kind of extreme example of this is, like I mentioned, I have 2 toddlers, I have a full-time job, and it's pretty demanding. And as you can imagine, or as you might experience for yourself, that in and of itself is pretty exhausting. And I also run this YouTube channel, and after many failed attempts of trying and failing to work on this in the evenings after we get the kids down, I was mentally and physically exhausted, and it always felt like such a struggle. Even though it was something that I was passionate and excited about, it was just something I really had to force myself to do. I really had to force myself through it when I was trying to do it at 7 p.m. It was directly sucking out my feminine energy, so I tried something extreme, and I tried waking up at 2:45 a.m. to get a good hour to hour and a half of YouTube work in before I had to get ready for my day job. And as crazy as it sounds, waking up and working on this at 2:45 a.m. is way easier for me than trying to slog through my mental exhaustion at the end of the day and force myself through it. Now, after getting the kids down, I'm still definitely tired since I woke up at 2:45 a.m., but I just get to lean into my feminine energy and do my relaxing evening routine or relax with my husband and go to sleep early, because that's what my body and my brain want to do. And I've already accomplished what I needed to for my passion project. It might sound crazy and extreme, but the opposite is actually true, because doing this allows me to embrace the flow of my energy. And I'm definitely not saying that everyone should wake up stupid early like me. I'm just saying, pay really close attention to these patterns in yourself and honor them. It's the same as the idea that not everyone should try to force themselves into an early morning routine, because that's what all the productivity guru bros on the internet are saying. If you're a night owl and that's when you have energy and mental clarity, lean into that and sleep in and do your morning routine at 9 a.m. All that matters is that you pay attention to the flow of your energy and plan your life around it. Number 10 is the last official one, and it made me a little emotional as I was preparing for it, and it's to stop trying to constantly improve yourself. But stick around, because I have 3 quick bonus habits after this. But if you're a self-improvement junkie, it may get to a point where trying to constantly level up is actually doing more harm than good. And I went through this a few years ago, and maybe it's a story that feels familiar to you. I binged self-help books and podcasts and YouTube videos almost constantly. I was always trying to level up, and without even realizing it, what that actually meant is that I didn't think that I was good enough as I was. You don't need to improve yourself. You're enough, and you're wonderful just as you are. And there were 1,000 things that contributed to my journey to healing my wounded feminine energy, but this was definitely a catalyst. I got to a point where I realized that nothing was resonating anymore, and I wasn't really implementing anything, and I just kept reading or listening to things that made me feel like I wasn't good enough, and honestly, that I never would be. The constant pursuit to always improve oneself is a very masculine trait, because remember, feminine energy is all about just being. You don't need to be better. All you need to do to embrace your feminine energy is just be your truest self exactly as you are. And if any of this sounds like you, I challenge you to stop trying to improve and instead educate yourself on how to just be you, which is actually a lot harder than it sounds like it should be. Learn more about divine feminine energy, not to improve yourself, but to learn how to stop trying to. And I actually think that that's exactly why it's so easy to become addicted to self-help. I think it's easier to think that you can grind your way to a better, different you than it is to just stop and embrace yourself exactly as you are. But your feminine energy is begging that you do exactly that. Okay, so those were the 10 heavy hitters, but I have 3 really quick rapid fire bonus ones that I couldn't leave out. Bonus number 1 is to intentionally detach from information that doesn't serve you. Stop watching the news, unfollow social accounts that make you feel anxious, like the girl on Instagram who is always going on about conspiracy theories. I don't know, mute your uncle on Facebook who always catastrophizes every news event. You'll hear about anything that you absolutely need to, no doubt, but you don't need to feed yourself with depressing, anxiety-inducing information on things that you can't do anything about anyway on a daily basis. Bonus number 2 is to be creative and try new hobbies, especially hobbies that allow you to use your hands and create, involve movement or flow, or anything outdoors or water related. And bonus number 3 is to lean back in all areas of your life by like 5 to 10%. What would it look like if you spoke up less or volunteered to take on new things right away at work by 5% less? Or if instead of signing up for every single volunteer thing at your kid's school, you skipped a couple? Or if you were just a little bit less rigid with your kids' routines and rules? And all of this can be really hard at first if you are used to operating in your masculine energy, but the impact that leaning back, even by just a little bit, can have is huge. And it's cumulative when you apply this principle to all the areas of your life. That's all that I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. It means the world, especially if you're still here at the very end. I know this was long. Thank you so much for being here. Please leave a thumbs up if you liked it, or a thumbs down if you didn't, honestly. This is a new channel, so I welcome all feedback to learn what actually resonates. Until next time, stay aligned.